welcome back, everyone. And I am pleased to be joined here tonight on our pregame show. Fantastic Saturday night card coming up by Mr. Myron Bell, the Brittany Racing manager, of course, co-owner as well of Captain Treacherous. And welcome out. Could be a big night tonight, Myron.
I hope so.
Well, we'll see what happens. How long have you been involved with, George Siegel and Brittany Farms? How long have you been in that capacity?
I met George about 30 years ago, and I've been involved with him for that long a time.
Great deal. That is certainly a long-standing partnership, and success just continues to arrive. So we're actually going to go through tonight. They've got a lot of talented youngsters in action, and we're going to get Myron's take maybe on several of these, and it's beginning right in the first race with That's My Opinion, who is actually getting his first stakes try tonight. And was Lexington always the plan with this guy, Myron?
Well, he was a high-profile yearling. His name was Blister Hanover, and Tony Alagna made a name change, and it's caught on. He's a very talented colt, and he's about ready to race.
And now, speaking of that name change, why did that name change come about?
Well, I have a pet saying, "That's my opinion," and Tony sort of paid me back.
Well, and it is your opinion. I'd say he pays pretty good attention to that as well. But that's my opinion. Again, just an improving colt. Got a big shot there, 6-1 in race 1 tonight. Now we're going to move on to another talented pacing colt, and that's in race 4, Fort Knox. He's actually the 5-2 morning line favorite in that spot. He was a $110,000 yearling, lightly raced, but he does have a big late kick.
Well, the Art Museum was purchased by us a few years back. She never really made the races, and her first two foals, Fort Knox is her first colt, and he's done very well.
And we expect another good performance tonight?
I think he's second best in there.
All right, well, we'll see what happens there. That's Fort Knox, race 4. And by the way, if you want to know who he thinks is first best, it's So Surreal, and that's 6-1 morning line price. We're going to move right along now to race 7, and this is actually the second leg of pick 4 action tonight with another talented 2-year-old. He's got post 8, Journeyman. He was actually just finished behind Fort Knox in that local qualifier.
Well, he's got a lot of ability, and we have to race him off the helmet. He's that type of colt. He's got one very strong brush.
And he seems to be holding his own so far against top-level company. And now I'm going to put you on the spot. We've got all 3 of those. That's My Opinion, Fort Knox, Journeyman. Who's the best colt of the 3, you think?
Well, potentially, I'd have to say down the road, That's My Opinion. He has a high gear.
Absolutely. Well, certainly, as you mentioned, he's got the pedigree, and we'll look forward to seeing him race again. That's in the opener. Of course, Captain Treacherous coming up, but do want to ask first off, race 9 authorized. That's the final leg of your pick 4 tonight, 9-2 morning line, and she has actually been racing, in my opinion, much better than it even looks on paper.
Well, she's a granddaughter of the great Delinquent Account and one of our great families in harness racing, and she's rounding into form.
Yeah, she seems to be doing very well. She was dominant here at an overnight event last time. Philly Amir Open just sprinted away from her competition, and she actually just got beat half a length by I Missed the Nightlife earlier this year. I love the Nightlife, rather.
Well, she's a trip horse, and she does have a strong close in her, and she just needs to race off the helmet.
All right, we'll look forward to that again. That's race 9, and of course the big star on tonight's card, race 3, Captain Treacherous. Now, you skipped the jug, went to Hoosier Park. He looked very sharp there, just dominant. He's going to have 4 tough tests in a row, 2 here in Lexington, the Breeders' Crown Elimination, and final. What can we expect from the captain tonight?
Why are you reminding me of that? we planned the end of the year would be the toughest part, so we wanted to leave a little fuel in the tank, and he's got to march on now.
Now, that was a late decision, obviously, before the jug. Is that one where you typically just, confer with all of your partners and make, a decision at the end of the day?
Well, we want to make him as good as he can be. We missed winning the Breeders' Crown last year, and we'd like to go back to Pocono and do it this year.
All right, well, fantastic. We'll look for that, Captain Treacherous. Now, another thing with Captain Treacherous, I know there's been some talk. If things go well over these next 4 starts, you guys are actually thinking about that TVG Free-for-All Championship towards the end of the year.
Well, you think big, it could become big. That would be a dream come true. All the great free-for-all paces are out there, and him being maybe the best 3-year-old would get an invite to that race, and hopefully he'd perform admirably.
Actually, as a racing fan, I can say that would probably be the most highly anticipated race that I could ever remember in my lifetime. If you have obviously the best standout 3-year-old going against a very ultra-talented crop, maybe the best crop we've ever seen depth-wise of older pacers.
Yes, it hasn't been done very often. I believe Niatros did it in California and Ambro Nesbitt about 30 years ago. And the thoroughbreds do it quite often. The top 3-year-old races the aged horses.
Well, that's we are all looking forward to that. Of course, first things first, we've got to get through tonight, and then we'll be here back next week, and of course the Breeders' Crown to follow. Now, Myron, before I let you off, I want to tell my favorite story. I was at the yearling sales last fall. Obviously, no one knows breeding as well as you. You are right on top of your game, but I was standing about 15 feet away from you last year, and you opened up a yearling, Avalanche Hanover, I believe, $200,000 first bid.
I wish you wouldn't mention that. Right now, he's a little behind the times, but hopefully he'll come back and be a nice colt next year.
Now, when you go into that, obviously you had pre-planned that. Is that something that you just establish a value for that particular horse and try to let folks know you mean business up front?
Well, you're there to buy or you're there to cry. And he was a colt that we really admired, and we wanted to buy him. And I felt that would take that bid to get him.
Well, it certainly did get him, because I believe everyone was just a spectator after that. So good luck tonight. It's going to be a great night of racing. We've got 7 stakes on tonight's 10-race card. Of course, we've heard all of the information on a lot of the Brittany horses in tonight, but we've got fantastic interviews coming up down in the paddock. Should be a fantastic night. Perfect weather for a perfect card. Post time now is coming up in 13 minutes. Good luck with your selections while you're with us this evening.
Thank you.